Guys, we have an emergency stream right now. You guys in the chat are absolutely hilarious, saying that Demna took me away or something like that. That's really funny. But anyway, you guys kind of know what we're talking about today. Of course, Demna has been announced as the creative director of Gucci, which did come as a shock to a lot of people, including me, because I wasn't really expecting that. There are many people that I did think were in the running for the Gucci job, but Demna definitely wasn't one of those because Demna is someone that we kind of view as cemented at Balenciaga. But the more you consider it, the more it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, Gucci is significantly bigger than Balenciaga, like it's not even close. And so, of course, there's the money aspect to it. Like he's probably going to be paid way more than he is at Balenciaga. But I wonder how he's going to deal with that pressure. I said before, earlier today, I reviewed his most recent Balenciaga collection. I wasn't the biggest fan of his last collection. I think he is kind of running out of ideas, and I'm wondering how exactly he can find his spark at Gucci, especially when it's a brand that is in absolute turmoil. And that is the brand that really leads to whether Kering has a good financial year or not. That is so much pressure when he could have just, you know, he could have just been at Balenciaga having a fun time creating the dark clothes and just get away with it, to be honest. He could have just done that and gotten away with it. So I don't know why he did that. But anyway, let's read the statement on the Kering website, of course, like they said. Demna appointed artistic director of Gucci. It says, Kering and Gucci are delighted to announce the appointment of Demna as the house's new artistic director starting early July 2025. Demna, artistic director of Balenciaga since 2015, has redefined modern luxury, earning global recognition and cementing his authority on the industry. Francois-Henri Pinault, chairman and CEO of Kering, stated, Demna's contribution to the industry, to Balenciaga, and to the group's success has been tremendous. His creative power is exactly what Gucci needs, as I thank him for everything he has accomplished over the past 10 years. I look forward to seeing him shape Gucci's new artistic direction. Francesca Bellettini, Kering Deputy CEO in charge of brand development, said, Demna's profound understanding of contemporary culture, coupled with his extensive experience in conceiving visionary projects, has established him as one of the most influential and accomplished creators of his generation. His appointment as artistic director is the perfect catalyst to reignite Gucci's creative energy. I look forward to the collaboration of Demna and Stefano as they lead Gucci into a new era of success. And Stefano Cantino, who of course is the CEO of Gucci, said, I've always admired Demna's creative approach that is both unique and powerful. His ability to honor the iconic legacy of a brand while embracing a modern sensibility is extraordinary. With Gucci's strengthened foundations as a springboard, Demna will lead the house towards renewed fashion authority and enduring cultural relevance. Let's see what the last statement, which is a statement from Demna. So what Demna said. I'm truly excited to join the Gucci family. It is an honor to contribute to a house I deeply respect and have long admired. I look forward to writing together with Stefano and the whole team a new chapter of Gucci's amazing story. Interesting. So like I said, if we just have a quick glance at the financial reports, because I say this all the time, and I think I always have to like beat this point into the ground because people don't understand how much bigger Gucci is than Balenciaga. So if you look at the financial reports, these are from last year. These are the most recent reports, the 2024 financial reports. So Gucci made 7.6 billion euros in revenue, and the revenue that Gucci made is significantly more than the second biggest brand, which is Yves Saint Laurent, which made 2.8 billion euros. And then Bottega made 1.7, and then all the other houses combined made 3.2. So all the other houses combined, including Balenciaga, by the way, didn't even make half of the revenue of Gucci. So it's a huge jump. Huge jump. And I'm just wondering if he can deal with that pressure, considering a lot of his collections have been uninspired. Also, for the people that want to know, because I've seen this kind of discussion point, people are asking, is he going to stay at Balenciaga? What's going to happen? Actually, it was announced by Kering that his last collection for Balenciaga will be on the 6th of July, which will be a Balenciaga couture collection. That should be interesting because I think one of the bright sparks of Demna's Balenciaga has actually been the couture collections, even when the ready-to-wear, in my opinion, has been wavering over the course of a few years. I think actually a bright spark has been the couture collections, and that's something that I definitely think I've personally enjoyed. I'm sure lots of people have enjoyed as well. But yeah, it's just interesting to see the financials. I mean, Demna did amazing at Balenciaga, to be honest. I mean, when you look at the Balenciaga sales, the sales quadrupled in his first 5 years at Balenciaga, which was insane. And I know the revenue of Balenciaga was 1.5 billion euros by 2021. So obviously he was someone that was successful. He's someone that sold crazy amounts of garments. He was selling triple S's and sock sneakers and bags and all sorts of stuff, right? The only problem is, as much as he sells clothing and ready to wear, at Gucci, you have to have a bigger objective. You have to have a bigger objective because at Gucci, they make so much money. You're not going to make that money selling ready to wear. You have to sell like bags and stuff. So that whole Balenciaga strategy won't work. Also, guys in the chat, what do you guys think in terms of what direction aesthetically do you think he's going to go in? Because of course we are very well aware of where Gucci has gone. The reason why Alessandro Michele left in the first place is because they wanted to go in a different direction, kind of wanted to go back to Tom Ford kind of styles, more minimal, more in line with quite luxury, which is why Alessandro Michele parted ways, obviously ended up at Valentino. We then had Sabato De Sarno who went there. Sabato was kind of like the guy that they just got there who would just be their like yes man and just do what they say. And obviously that strategy didn't work because the clothing was very uninspired. Some of the collections seemed like they were really chasing trends. I'll show you guys some stuff on Vogue Runway actually. It almost seemed like the Gucci didn't really have its own identity, to be honest. Also, financially, to me, it just made no sense. If you're making a certain amount of money with Alessandro Michele at the helm, and then you do a complete 180 to that aesthetic, why would you assume that you're going to keep all those customers that were buying clothing that was a completely different aesthetic and build upon it? Because these brands just expect that they can keep building forever. It was so weird, so strange, so strange. I want to show you because there's this collection that really illustrates it. This Resort 25 collection was when I was like, yeah, Gucci literally has no identity. They're just following every single trend. So ballet flats were all the rage at this point, mainly because of Miu Miu, Alaya, and then Chanel to an extent. And then, of course, what did Gucci do? They made their horsebit versions. Now, ideally, them making different iterations of horsebit shoes isn't questionable, but it's questionable when that's the trending thing. And normally, at least when I first got into fashion, brands had their own identity and they would set trends based on what their own unique identity is. But this just seemed like, just chasing every single trend, like every trend under the sun. It's like, how can we fit into that and try and sell some garments based on what the trend is currently? Even when you look at what the team design, the studio team design, a lot of it looks like Prada. In the most recent Gucci collection, it looks very, very much like Prada. So it's really, really odd. I just hope it's not even more logo centric. I hope so too. I posted a joke on my Instagram, right, where I was saying that, can you imagine like the Kim Kardashian tape dress, but just a Gucci version instead? Like, imagine Demna starts doing all those like gimmicky, like these kind of things, these sort of gimmicky things at Gucci. I just don't know if it would work. I just don't know. Gucci McDonald's fried bag. That's hilarious. Oh my word. Can you distinguish between difference between artistic director and creative director? Seeing a lot of overlap between titles. I think it just depends on the brand because so many different brands have like the same names for things and they're not actually the same role. So like, for example, some creative directors at brands, they are responsible for doing all of the fashion design, but also doing the marketing. and also doing other things. And then some creative directors, it's purely fashion design. So I think it really depends on what brand, to be honest. So there's no like one size fits all. There's no like industry standard at every brand. If you're an artistic director, these are specifically what your role entails. This is like specifically what it entails, to be honest. So yeah, yes, I did say he's presenting a last couture collection. He is. Um, so that's the last we'll see of Demna, which I do think is a good thing because I think that we haven't gotten a farewell from a lot of designers. A lot of designers didn't get a farewell. They just kind of leave a brand kind of just randomly. The last really good farewell I can think of is Sarah Burton when she was leaving McQueen. There was like everyone knew when her last show was. It was quite emotional. People were there. People were crying at the show. So yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. Where did I speak on that? So Kering executives from Kering actually told like a small set of fashion media that that would be his last show. They also kind of alluded to it in their press release. So I'll go back to the press release once again. So in a press release, they talked about how Demna is starting his role early July. So he's actually starting his role at Gucci just as he finishes his role at Balenciaga after the Lost Couture collection. So that's why when you read like Women's Wear Daily, BOF, they talk about the last show being on the 6th of July. And I even think in BOF, actually, they specifically stated that Kering spoke to like a select group of the fashion media and told them that. So yeah, that's where it comes from. That's where the information comes from. I wonder who would take over at Balenciaga. I've heard Pieter Mulier. That's kind of like, I've also heard Daniel Roseberry. So those seem to be like the front runners for the Balenciaga brand. To be honest, I'm very ready to see a different aesthetic at Balenciaga at this point. I'm extremely ready for a different aesthetic at Balenciaga. Hello, Dami. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. DG here. What's good? Don't
What's
worry.
your first reaction to this bombshell of news?
I still don't have a true reaction to be fair. I'm just kind of existing in the moment, but I did have a couple of thoughts that are ruminating now. So yeah,
Mm,
no, I do think it's a positive move though,
yeah.
because they did need a dramatic shift. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're desperate. It's kind of funny. Like I said, I think Kering has learned their lesson, though. It's like we went away from Alessandro, who's a big name and really influential, because we thought that we could achieve more going with a designer that we can control. And they've realized that. And we talk about this all the time, Dummy, that the men in suit are not creatives. And the quicker they realize that, the better. Like, if you think as a man in a suit that you're going to steer the creative ship and tell a creative director what to do and it's going to work, you're clearly confused. So I think they've learned their lesson with that, and now they're hiring someone who obviously is a big name, but also has a strong design identity, and they're going to allow him do a lot more things that he wants at Gucci, rather than being like, "Can you make it look like Tom Ford, please?" and kind of mix it with quite luxury. But also, we saw that ballerina, flats are a trend. So can you add a ballet flat, but also add a horse bit, because that's part of our heritage. Like that doesn't work.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of trouble going on at Gucci, and as soon as it started, like and I think I remember there and about the first live that we did, where it was Sabaton, and I was like, I was trying to not like jump, like put the cart before the horse and everything like that, but at the same time, it's like the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall before the
Yeah.
end of the year, and then yeah, no. And the financial reports came out. We were anticipating that. And then the call happened and they said, yo, we're going to do something about this. I said it's going to be dramatic. You're going to see some shifts, but don't worry because we have this under control. And that financial call, I think you went to the financial statements. That's the last thing I saw you do.
Yeah. I can
But
put them
yeah,
back on the screen. Yeah.
yeah,
Let me
but
zoom in so it's easier for people to see actually.
mm, but that
So you
told
guys
that
can
told a
see.
lot of I'm gonna full screen. That told a lot of things that we needed. But at the same time, I said we. um, I needed to see this honestly, but then at the same time, it's like Balenciaga is completely eclipsed by Gucci. It's not
Completely is an
even close.
understatement. It's just
Yeah.
not even close, bro. It's just not even
and
close.
and so anyone that's making Gucci falter, you're the problem. Even if it was the suits in the back, it's like all of you guys here, you're fired. You're
Yeah.
done. What does Kai say? You're done. He's
Bro,
like,
you
yeah,
know
bro.
Sabato, during Sabato's time, he had three different CEOs.
Bro, bro, this is the
Like
problem.
that
Like
brand is in turmoil. Like,
literally the musical chairs. Like I remember I had fatigue from reading all of the articles because I was seeing a new person move around Karen, shift, and I was just tired. But I do think that one thing that Demna will do, I can say for sure, is bring stability to Gucci. Not to say in terms of design wise, but because people understand that he's a very, very big and trustworthy designer in terms of sales, that they'll value him being there rather than, you know, some new person that they don't know, or someone that's like,
true.
I don't want to say they're easily controlled, but easily swayed, or they can sway by someone else's opinion without having a true vision. Do you know what I mean? And in saying that Demna, his last show will be in July, which means that he's got like a whole runway. He's got like almost a year's worth of runway, because that show should have been finished from like
Yep.
October time, anyways.
Yeah, they would have
So
been working on it because it's
yeah,
very soon.
exactly. And it's couture, you know what I'm saying? So in reality, he's got like a, not reality, but like in fashion terms, he's got a year to think of something, come up with concepts, and talk to the higher ups about it and say, yo, this is the vision.
Yep.
What's the
It
chat?
feels like Demna going to Gucci was the safest choice. Yeah, because it is actually quite simplistic. Because you think about it, they're like, what designer under our stable has been making a lot of money for a brand that we trust and we know how he works? Demna, make him the creative director of our biggest brand. It's quite simplistic when you think about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was very safe. It is very
You
safe.
know what's interesting? I feel like this is the most stable move in terms of creative directorships that's happened in a long, long time. Like,
Yeah.
as in, people like, what's it? Pharrell came to LV, you know, Blazy went to Chanel, like, you know, people that in quotes aren't proven are at major, major places, but Demna being at
I mean, Matteo Blasi is definitely proven.
uh,
Pharrell
what
definitely wasn't like to the level of LV, but I do
well,
think that.
Chanel's the big one of the biggest luxury houses in the world beside Hermes, so
I mean,
proven to a
the
particular level.
top three in fashion are Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. To be fair, like
Yeah,
money wise, at least.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah, like not
yeah,
proven in terms of design wise, of course, but I'm saying like in terms of like the money of
the
the jump and everything
scale,
like that. But
right?
yeah, um, but Demna going to Gucci, it's kind of one of those simple moves that, even though it's not simple, it sounds simple on paper, but it's it brings value to the, especially when they're in turmoil. Like everyone's trying to put out fires everywhere. And what's it?
Yeah,
I think I read they were closing some stores. Maybe my account was wrong.
yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
So part of Gucci's strategy, I talked about this when I talked about Kering's financial report, because I watched the whole presentation. They are really adamant on making Gucci less accessible, not less accessible to buy, but just not being in the wrong markets and kind of watering down the brand perception, which is why they're going away from like different using different retailers and wholesaling and everything. They're bringing it all in house. That's reflected not just in the clothing, but that's why they launched Kering Beauty, for example.
Mm.
Even this year, actually, they're launching the first Balenciaga fragrance under the Kering Beauty umbrella. So clearly they're like trying to bring everything in house. They're trying to vertically integrate things. They're trying to have a stronger hold of all the things that they are creating. So I think it's just in line with that, to be honest. Like that's why, they're closing certain stores down because they're not seen as like strategic enough, and that's kind of where they're going with it.
Mm. And I've had a couple thoughts. I've had a couple thoughts. I want to know what you think though, design wise, the direction that Demna may possibly take.
Do you know what's funny? I think, and someone alluded to this in the chat, and I totally agree, right? It's at the end of the day, Gucci is not really a fashion house. Like if you think of the
Mm,
history of Gucci, Gucci or Gucci, Aldo Gucci, what did they make outside of like leather goods? Like Aldo Gucci, maybe like the loafers, like a few things here and there, like the monogram. It's not a couture house. Whereas,
mm,
like when we think of Balenciaga, we think of Cristobal Balenciaga. There's a certain expectation in terms of clothing design skill and skill of tailoring, skill of fabric construct, like garment construction, skill of sculpting around the body, because that's what we associate with Cristobal Balenciaga. So, if anything, from a fashion perspective, you have more freedom at Gucci. I still don't think Gucci has any house codes, whereas at Balenciaga, there are loads of house codes. Like at Balenciaga, people talk about things like the cocoon shapes. You know what I mean? So it's
mm.
like Gucci, even though some people would say that, well, Tom Ford is those are the codes, but not really, because Gucci has been successful with completely different aesthetics. You think of Alessandro Michele, completely different to Tom Ford. And then even people in between, like Frida Giannini, for example, was kind of like a blend in between them. And that was not as successful as Tom Ford or Alessandro Michele, but it still wasn't like crazy bad, right? So
Yeah,
to me, it's the kind of brand that you can actually do anything and get away with it because there are no codes. So if anything, Demna has, a lot more freedom to create or design whatever he wants and just kind of try to make that his Gucci aesthetic. However, what I want to know is he going to do the whole like gothic, ironic thing at Gucci still? Do you reckon he's going to just take that to Gucci? Or do you
I,
reckon he's going to, because obviously in the past he's worked at Margiela, which he obviously references a lot
a
from
lot.
Vetements times. At Balenciaga, the amount of Margiela references is like crazy at this point. But also he worked at Louis Vuitton, right? So he still has like an LV bag, a different kind of Margiela bag that he could bring to Gucci. So that's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah, I think partially he's dug so deep into this bag. He invented so many languages, or part of the so many words in the language that is what we see now in today's lexicon of design and style and fashion, right? That him doing it again, especially with this last collection that we saw, is like almost him referencing himself in a way. And it's past the point of it's post ironic and more so kind of overdone at this point. It's not as cute as it used to be. So I want him to honestly say to himself, yo, I'm gonna close this chapter now and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back into, or go to a more fun place, if that's the word, or even just explore different philosophies. How about that? Not even like just explore different philosophies, because I think he's great enough of a designer to actually do that.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people were listening to him, and not listening to him, sorry, but seeing the collection and seeing the news and being like, I don't think he can do that. I'm like, this guy is one of the best dressmakers that are out there today. It's just that he was making hoodies at Balenciaga that were kind of being thrown off at
Yeah.
his level out of skill that he actually has. And if he doesn't have to worry so much about, yo, this is Cristobal Balenciaga's house, I think he could do quite well with a new philosophy, a new train of thought, and all of these other things. But I saw your meme from earlier with the Kim Kardashian thing. So do you think we're gonna get a triple S
What
horse
the
bit loafer?
gimmicky
Yeah.
triple S horse bit loafer? Oh my god. No, I don't think so. The thing with Demna is that like even though I do give him a hard time sometimes because I think the recent collections have been atrocities, especially that LA collection. I literally want to remove that from my brain. But
No, that one was
that being said, he's an amazing designer. Like he's super skilled. Like if you look at the early Balenciaga
Mm,
collections, it's so clear that he's skilled. You look at some of the couture collections, he's really skilled. That in the couture collections, I've kind of talked about this in past reviews. There are aspects that I'm not the biggest fan of. You know, the
mm,
kind of talking about a commentary on waist, so you just tie all these like pieces together and make it into a dress. I'm just not really the biggest fan of that. But I understand like the commentary he's trying to make. Um, and he thought it was valid. It's his show, fair enough. However, I'm just not the biggest fan of, you know, stuff like that, to be very honest with you. But he's skilled. Like it's so obvious. So if he just gets rid of this like gimmicky thing and just makes really good accessories, I think he's onto a winner. Someone in the chat was asking, has Demna designed any really like big, like well sold bags at Balenciaga? The bag I can think of off the top of my head is the Rodeo bag.
yeah.
The Rodeo bag sells like hotcake, and that was a Demna era bag. Obviously, he brought back different other era bags, like he brought back the Le City bag, which was obviously that's Nicolas Guesquier era. That's doing well, but you can't give him credit because he's bringing back a bag he didn't design. But yeah, the Rodeo bag is really his saving grace.
That
However,
hourglass bag, like
oh yeah, true. But what I will say though is that he has to do more of that at Gucci because once again, Gucci is not really like known as a clothing brand. It's
mm,
like it's a leather goods brand. It's like Gucci does it sells ready to wear, I guess, but it's not the same compared to like the bags. Loads of people buy Gucci bags. That's where a lot of their money comes from, outside of like, you know, other things like other accessories. Do you remember when loads of people are buying like Gucci belts and stuff like that
yep.
when
Wow, you just
that was
threw me.
like the
Yeah.
thing, right? People are
Wait,
tucking their shirts into their Gucci bags and Gucci belts and stuff, tucking their shirts into their trousers so you can see the Gucci belt.
wearing Gucci belts
What a
on the
time to
head.
be alive!
Oh my,
What a time to be alive!
bro, bro. Wait, wait. Okay, I think I think that we're almost prisoners of the terrible era, or should I say post scandal era Demna, and like forgetting the way that he actually came in.
Hmm.
Like we spoke about the triple S, biker bag, you know, we
Sock
spoke,
sneakers.
yeah, like he came in with products. Like the reason he caught on in Balenciaga was mainly because of the product that he created, and then you know that came with the lifestyle. Do you know what I mean?
The
So
Bernie Sanders
yeah,
stuff, like all that stuff was.
yeah. So and
Let me whip that stuff on the screen
yeah,
as we talk
it
about it.
came
But
it came with a message, and then one thing that really has shown me as the years go on is that even though him and Goran had the same, let's say, sort of philosophy, his guiding principles were the reason Vetements was defined and elevated the way that it was.
yeah,
The way,
him and obviously a combination of a lot of
well,
other people like Lotta Volkova and like other people that really made it tick. Um, and the issue is like you remove Demna from that, you remove Lotta from that, and you're left with nothing. Which is why Guram, I don't, to be honest, I don't even know what he was doing there. I feel like Guram at Vetements is literally a meme brand. Genuinely,
mm.
he's almost turned the brand into a meme.
And this the thing, like these memes, like they are part and parcel of the new way that we get what Tom Ford is, in a way. Now, walk with me now. Tom Ford was the zeitgeist, essentially. He knew
Hundred
the
percent.
heart and minds of, you know, the people in the upper echelons. We had this conversation last time, but just to rehash small portions of it for people that didn't hear it. But he was the moment in the 90s, right? And obviously Demna had his moment in the 2010s, like while watching some of the moments that he had. But he invented, or I think invented is a strong word, but he, you know, spearheaded a lot of strong moments and movements of, you
Yeah,
know, the 2010s, right? If he has a second act in him, and I just want to trust in his design acumen and his, you know, mind for a second, I do believe he can create that moment again with, you know, in quotes, memes, that, you know, same way that Tom Ford would have done with Gucci, and to create like just great memes, create great sunglasses, and create great bags, and then create great shoes, and then have a lifestyle that accommodates that, or should I say more clothing that accommodates that, right? Because he had the triple S, and the triple S, like even with this outfit, it stands out on this outfit, but then you're having commentary there around it. And
Yeah.
now we have all of, you know, our I don't know about your rich friends, but all of our rich friends as well, they dress like they're homeless or they come from ends. Like, I remember when there was a moment where they didn't like, they were wearing bubble jackets or like puffer jackets, and I was like, bro, are you try like, or sis? Because it was mainly the girls. I was like, you're wearing jeans, but your jeans are Celine. Your jacket is Balenciaga.
I
Oh,
know where you're going with this.
you're trying to dress like man, but you know. So I think like if he has a second act in him, that I
He's
believe.
also been the reason for like so many trends. I remember early like 2015, 16, 17. A lot of people used to, when we used to talk about things like normcore, I feel
Mm,
like Demna
mm,
was at the forefront of it because it was very much like shirts, tie, trouser with like sneakers and like all that. So he was very much at the forefront of the normcore aesthetic, even though there are other brands too.
of course.
So he's even spearheaded like certain trends in fashion too.
Yeah. So it's like I believe in him in that aspect, right? If he activates a part of his mind that can forget Balenciaga and the way he was speaking at Balenciaga, as in like the subtle little things that he was doing, like, you know, he's always gonna have a hoodie, he's always gonna have like an obscure dress there, he's always like, so those little things, and then say, okay, I'm just gonna act differently at Gucci.
Right.
I believe that he can create values again that are different, because when you're at like his age now, this is when creative directors really get into their bag. And if he doesn't get into his bag, honestly, then Gucci is is done for the
Oh,
next
bro,
four or
bro,
five
bro.
years.
Do you understand that like this is like Kering's last straw? Like they are in dire straits, bro. Let me just
Bro,
open those financial reports again, bro. Like, bro, if you
yeah,
look at these
no,
financial reports, in 2023, they made 9.87 billion euros, and in 2024, they made 7.65 billion euros. It's down 23%.
bro, coughing and wheezing, fam.
Bro.
Coughing, wheezing,
Like
Ekins.
they're not playing. Like it has to work. It's not even like a choice.
Yeah,
Like it
no,
has to work. Like Demna at Gucci has to work for them.
yeah.
Otherwise, they are literally in dire straits.
Bro, the life support. This the thing, and obviously this is a massive, massive undertaking. And if Gucci flops, I would put it 70% on the back office and not on Demna. I'll be real. I feel like it's almost because of all of the musical chairs that have been happening in the back office, just like with Burberry. How can a creative director work under those particular type of conditions?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? But yes, Ceci, you're absolutely right. It is desperate. Um, but yeah,
Do you
like,
reckon they'll give him time? Because the thing about these things also is like when a designer comes in and really has to like revamp the whole aesthetic, the branding, the marketing, the messaging, and you might see a dip in the short term. How long do you think they're going to give him before they start panicking? Do you think?
bro. Oh, so once the first collection drops, you mean?
Yeah.
Oof.
How much time do you think he's going to be given before they start panicking and start
I,
raising alarm bells?
I think it will. They'll if I think it will be 4 months. 4 months for them in the back office, but it will look like 18 months to us, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it will look like he has 2 years, but in reality, after that first show, and you know how they do with like the list index and everything like that after fashion weeks, and then once everything is in stores, it's like, or not once everything's in stores, prior to everything being in stores, let me slow down. prior to
Yeah.
everything being in stores, they look at the metrics to see if people are actually talking about the show still. They look at what people are interested in, if people are copying images of the bags. You know, like you worked at BOF, so you know, like they have
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
wild metrics. They're gonna look at that and be like, okay, this
Earned
guy,
media value, all
yeah,
these kind of stats. Yeah, because
exactly.
that's the BOF stat, the earned
Yeah.
media value.
So yeah, across all platforms, across all social, you know what I'm saying? And then they'll see. I I
Yeah.
I really think though, once it's in stores, because they're gonna have to change the look of the stores. Because this is like it's not just a massive undertaking for them, it's a massive undertaking for the new CEO as well. Because they have to
And
change the
stores have to
revamp.
fit the aesthetic or the mood
Exactly.
of a designer. So if he's going on in some dark direction, all the stores are like, you know, lime green or whatever, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Um,
precisely the point. And boy, is so 4 months.
if
They're
Demna
not gonna
doesn't hit
change
the
the stores
ground
for rubbish.
running, the execs are going berserk for sure. Berserk is a bit crazy, to be honest.
No,
I
it's
think, I
like
think, I think, kind of, I agree with what you said. I think they'll give him maybe like a season or two, like sell through. Like they'll
yeah.
allow it to hit stores. They'll be like, okay, one or two. Do you know something I'm really interested in though? Something that I've always loved when it comes to Demna and Balenciaga is the footwear.
Mm-mm.
The footwear is always impeccable. I know that there's I've forgotten the footwear designer at
You've
Balenciaga,
been
but it,
speaking about the footwear. You've been very
yeah,
consistent on that
there's a
point.
person that does the footwear design there. I hope they move that person to Gucci. If Kering knows what's good for them, that person needs to be moved to Gucci to make really innovative footwear because
Mm.
Gucci's footwear is really stale. Like they just slap a horse bit on every trending shoe. Like there's no innovation there really. Or when a sneaker trend is like trendy, then they try to make their own sneaker. The last time I think Gucci had like a shoe that was hot was, you know, the Gucci Ace sneakers,
Pardon. Wait, wait,
the
wait.
Gucci Ace, and then I think the Rythons. Those are like the two ones that I remember were like selling
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hotcakes.
Ooh, yeah, no, no, yeah, 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 yeah. The B ones, the
Though,
B ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
outside of
yeah.
that, a lot of their other shoes, it just seems like they are kind of reacting to trends. But when they do their own thing, it goes crazy. It literally goes
Yeah.
crazy.
The interesting thing, the very, very interesting thing is where we're moving just as a culture, right? And we're quite on the precipice of the end of this stealth wealth era. And so, by my account, the Demna's gonna come in right at the juncture where it's gonna be start switching. So I feel like Demna still is at the head of at least celebrity culture, right? So will he make them maximalist again and
Yeah.
like show out properly, or is he gonna be a little bit more subdued? And I feel like exactly what you're saying, the footwear will be a good indicator of that because a lot of people now are buying into wearing suits, wearing loafers, wearing Oxfords. They really like Baswegians, for instance, or even
That's true. That's having a
like
resurgence.
Goodyear welted shoes, all of these other things, right? So
Even
and people
Trickers, I've seen a lot more people talking about
oh,
Trickers. You know, Trickers had that really cool collaboration with Burberry, and a lot of
mm.
people have been talking about that. And it seems like younger people now, because when I used to think of Trickers, I always think of like old men with money that want really well made shoes. But since the Burberry collab, I'm seeing like, you know, younger kids like really interested in like quality and learning about what does Goodyear welted actually mean. You know, what do these
Mm.
welts what are they? What's a Blake stitch? Like they're actually really learning about these things. So to be honest, I think that is like very important, like what you said, and also I think fashion is also going there. And if you can
Yeah,
have footwear that really pushes those trends even further, that's the position you want to be in, which is why that Balenciaga footwear designer needs to be at Gucci, or at least working with Gucci in some capacity. Because I don't know who they have there now, but whoever's there now isn't like producing hits like the
yeah, no.
Balenciaga team. It just is what it is.
They're not. And I feel like the conversation that you were having the other day, I think you were reviewing this one guy's video about them cutting open a shoe. Was it a Gucci
Yeah,
shoe?
that was a Gucci shoe. That was a Gucci
Yeah.
shoe. The
So
terribly made Gucci shoes.
so
Yeah,
it's
that was Gucci.
ever more important now
Horrible
that
construction.
they actually do something about it. Like, so someone's gonna cut that open, him or Tanner Leverstein, and they're gonna see if there's a shank in that shoe. And like, so it's like the real details, and it's either fortunate or unfortunate, but Demna is one of those. The footwear designer is one of them, as in like they do well within like their creations. Like even with like that one leather, I think it was the leather that started looking like armor. So like they've done great things with fabrication as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think they could create interesting things, but that all of that leather looking like armor thing is for Balenciaga. Like we're talking about Gucci now. It is a different customer. Like kudos to Demna. He put a whole generation of the youth in Balenciaga, but the demographic has changed now when you go to Gucci.
It has.
And
And do you know something that
do you have a Gucci
because
person in your family, by the way?
no.
I feel like, oh,
um,
okay. So I've got an uncle that is in Gucci.
what
He's a
buys
Gucci.
Gucci?
Yeah, he's a Gucci
Okay.
guy, and he don't dress like none of us. Obviously, like he gets the loafers. He loves a nice little Gucci jacket, and he literally looks like not a finance bro, but the old school finance bros, like from the
Yeah.
90s. That's
Briefcase
not
with the horsebit loafers and
exactly. So he's dedicated. Like,
do you
and
know the
my
caveat though I'm gonna give?
oh.
A lot of when Demna, well, I mean, he's still at Balenciaga, so I was about to say his during his tenure, but I guess you could still say that during his tenure at Balenciaga, there have been a lot of quality control issues. So
Mm,
if we're talking about, the fact that someone opened up this Gucci pair of shoes and they were really badly constructed, which they were, and Demna coming in and being able to fix it, I don't know if he can do that. And that's the thing, creative directors aren't necessarily always responsible for the whole supply chain. So that's like a whole deeper issue. Like the supply chain is so like vast, especially for a brand like Gucci, that someone like Demna doesn't really have that much
mm,
control over something like that. So it's not really something that he can control or something that's within his control. That's more the CEO and like the other people making the right decisions to help push his vision in a way. But
as
someone
a
said, I work there. We are all excited for him, just worried about a Balenciaga transfer, just like Alessandro when he went to Valentina. Okay, interesting. Where do you work? Do you work in like head office, in the store? Because I feel like either way, you'll have some really interesting insights, to be honest.
yeah.
As an Italian, nobody buys Gucci, and if they do, they buy fakes. Damn,
That's
that's
interesting.
crazy.
And there are more people with that take though. Like I'm even listening to a lot of the Americans, and because America is such like a big open market now since the China slowdown, they are looking to Americans to buy, but Americans like dupes now. And
Yeah,
these big luxury houses are gonna have to contend with that. And a lot of people in London, like we know, they are scared for I think it's for a rubbish reason that people are gonna steal their things. But like I feel like the high society people that walk around London do not walk around where those type of things happen. But it is what it is.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the way that these guys move around is interesting. And can Demna capture Kuwait? That's a big thing for me now as well.
Mm.
So, for those who don't know,
His
Kuwait is
aesthetic is a bit too
mhm.
it's a bit too what's even the word I'm looking for? But yeah, I don't think like the Middle East necessarily take to,
His
especially
current
Middle Eastern women, like they take to his like current aesthetic. I don't think it's
mm.
that whole gothic thing. I don't think that's for them, to be
So
honest.
yeah, no, I do think he does have to switch his philosophy. But then this is the thing. Like I'm looking at the different pockets of people that live in this price bracket, and the price of a Gucci bag is gonna have to rise. so that it at least tries to compete with Chanel in some way. Or even LV. They have to get to LV before they even get to Chanel, don't they? Um, so yeah, like these women pick. So they're either
Yeah.
gonna pick them, Laura Piana, Hermes, and if they like them all, then they're gonna get them all. But for some reason, Gucci is not. Well, not for some reason. We can see the reason is obvious. Gucci is not in their list.
Yeah.
Gucci is just not in their list.
Okay, let's see what Tarek said. I'm in Kuwait now. The scandal stuff seriously scared people away from Balenciaga. My sales assistant, homie, told me personally. Yeah. Do you know what's funny though? So I was doing research. I was trying to figure out what the numbers have been since the scandal and try to see like if
Mm,
they've been suffering or not. And I think I saw some like stats via BOF where they're essentially talking about the fact that industry sources are saying that Balenciaga's business has climbed back because in Asia, the PR scandal wasn't as big. Like it wasn't much of a scandal in Asia. So a lot of the customers in Asia are like buying it like, business as usual. So they weren't too affected because that's where their main customer base is. So John was asking earlier, can Gucci survive a scandal? I think they can. They've already done it. Do you remember when Gucci had the blackface
blackface,
scandal
yeah.
thing? Yeah, they it's almost like people forgot about that a week later. So I think they can definitely get over a scandal for sure.
So yeah, like there's so many pockets of rich people. I hate calling them that, but people of means, people of wealth, that yeah, they need it. Like the Dapper Dan is not gonna get it done this time. You know what I mean? It's like all
No.
respect and love to Dapper Dan, but yeah,
Jennifer, this is facts. They did survive a murder scandal. Yeah, you're bringing it back now.
they're bringing it back.
Before Tom Ford came and saved them from their own turmoil. um,
Trust.
yeah, they did survive a murder scandal. So that's fact. Yeah, if Gucci can survive a murder scandal, they can survive anything at this point.
Well,
I think Gucci thrives in scandal.
yeah. But this the thing, right? Like, if someone likes a bag enough, they're gonna buy the real thing, and then they're gonna buy the dupe as well. So it's like there's all of these different behaviors that I'm scanning the market for, and I do think it's quite interesting, the way that the United Arab Emirates adopt different brands. Like right now, currently, Laura Piana is big. Well, not currently. It's been big consistently, but like that's super big in there, and they could possibly they could possibly adopt
It's
some
funny
more.
as you mentioned Laura Piana. Yeah, that's the big news. That we were talking about this in the Discord yesterday, actually. But yeah, it's interesting to see where luxury fashion is going. I also think, and I've mentioned this before, that China, just Asia in general as a market,
Mm,
a lot of these luxury brands are starting to maximize it, which is why they're looking elsewhere. We're starting to see a lot of these luxury brands investing in fast growing markets and economies like India, for example, where let's say in the next 10 years, there are going to be so many luxury consumers that their needs aren't met, and they're really trying to go in there and see how they can meet the needs of the people there. That's why Dior had their show in Mumbai, right? So
mm,
they're gonna have to work hard. So even like we're saying, would this work in the Middle East? They also need to think, would this work in India? Stuff like that.
exactly, because they got to be invested in it. Like I'm invested in it. Like I'm heavily invested in it. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. No, like, and this the thing, right? Who's Demna gonna be having these conversations with now? Like, he was having a conversation with the youth before, but yo, the youth's parents dress differently. They don't
Facts.
wear the same things, do they? And I guess I think some of them will move to Chanel with Blaze from Bottega, but he's gonna have to start talking differently. That being said, I do have a question for you, a
Go on.
side question. The empty seat at Balenciaga.
Yeah.
What
Well,
are
who do
the
I think
odds?
is going to be there?
Not just that. What are the odds you think Galliano would be there?
I mean, he could, but from the names I've been hearing, he hasn't been on that list, to be very honest. It's
Interesting,
possible, but I've
interesting.
heard Daniel Roseberry, I've heard Pietro Mulier, I've heard like so many different names, but definitely not John Galliano.
Mm, mm.
But he could go there, like he could.
Listen, one of the best dressmakers of our time at the historically the best dressmaker. I feel like these stories write themselves partially.
Bro,
Partially.
this musical chairs though, it's crazy. Like, how off the top of your head, how many of these like moves can you remember? Like Simone
Four.
Bellotti
Oh wait, six.
to Jill Sander, Matteo Blasi to Chanel, Luis Trotta to Bottega Veneta. Um, what else? Well, there's loads like Heider Ackerman to Tom Ford. Um, there's so many of
Yeah.
these moves.
JW
Um,
Anderson left Loewe, of
yeah,
course.
Jody Armstrong leaving Loewe.
Yeah.
Obviously
So,
Alessandro Michela to Valentino, but that was not that
yeah,
recent.
that wasn't yeah,
Um,
a little bit recent.
bro, it's too much. I actually can't keep up. Like I genuinely
It's
cannot
crazy,
keep up.
bro. I'm tired. It's interesting because this is the
Yeah,
arena.
the Versace move that literally happened today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Glenn Martins, exactly. Glenn Martins to Margiela. You have Peter Copin to Lanvin. You have what other ones
did
are
you
there?
already say who are those two guys that went to Loewe? Did you already say that?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Up to Loewe.
Yeah.
Got the
I
name I
haven't. I
forgot.
didn't say them. I didn't say them. I didn't say them.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it's
Such a
it's actually it's actually a lot.
a big deal. All of
I
this is
have
a
to like
big
write it down.
yeah, no. Like I was listing the ones that happened in the past 6 months. I was talking
Yeah,
about
Kim leaving Dior. Yeah,
yeah,
Celine, Michael Ryder
yeah,
at
Celine.
Celine, Eddie Simon obviously leaving. Bro,
Lucy and Luke Myers. There we go. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's really crazy because Gucci moved away from maximalism after parting with Michela to go right back to maximalism.
that's absolutely
That's
right.
the thing.
That's
But
absolutely right. A different maximalism
this is a good point. Also, at least you don't have to worry about lack of live stream material.
that
Thank you to
is
the fashion gods.
the
Um,
silver lining for sure.
yeah. Also, yes, Sarah Burton at Givenchy, who just had her debut recently, which I'm going to review probably tomorrow. Even Dries Van Noten, Julian Klausner at Dries Van Noten. That's a new move too.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh
I
wow.
just have to. I feel like we can
Okay.
keep going. Like over time, you just remember
Yeah.
more and more and more and more. It's a lot. It's a bit much.
What's happening with Maximilian at Ferragamo, by the way?
Nothing. He's still there doing his thing. It's just he's kind of flying under the radar.
Interesting. Yo, Sabato was interim head. Yeah, man.
Head
Sure.
interim head coach is insane.
That's interesting. Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, like I feel like what does AZGDV say? I feel
What?
like their name is as Gidiv. Demna, Tom, and Alessandro actually have a lot in common. Demna, if not two auto-referential,
Yeah.
will do extremely well. Plus, Alessandro wanted to leave because the brand was too big to manage, and he wasn't fired. Oh, interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do partially think what you're saying is correct in terms of do have a lot in common.
I could just cry as a Gucci lover, like Sabato's work. It wasn't something groundbreaking, but damn, I just know. Yeah, I once again, I never say that it's the fault of Sabato. Whatever happened during his time at Gucci, it's purely the people making the decisions, like the higher ups, telling him to design that way. Because Sabato is obviously capable. Because when you see a lot of his garments in person, and I like work with the Gucci team sometimes, so I did have a lot of experience, like seeing a lot of his runway pieces in person. They are very well made. It's just that bad communication, bad marketing, them forcing him to do trends that he probably didn't want to do. He probably just wanted to focus on like building a cohesive wardrobe. So it's their fault. It's not him at all. It really isn't him. And I can understand why some people like Sabato's work, because the clothing was really well made, to be fair.
Was it Gucci though? That's the question.
But then what is Gucci? And that's the question I'm asking, because when we think of Demna, when he has to ask himself, okay, what is Gucci? Like when he's designed, like if I'm going to use a house code outside of like the horse bit and those like tiny little things.
I think Gucci is sensationalism.
Right.
There is a need to be up, to be the biggest, to be the loudest in the room, with or without a logo. Just by the family, the way that they handle stuff. And then thereafter, so Tom Ford thereafter, Michele thereafter. Maximalism is a good word, but I don't think it's the best word. I do think that there is a feeling of, a level of ostentatiousness that people have when wearing Gucci. Like, and sometimes it's subtle and subdued, and sometimes it's very, very loud. And the loudness changes, but the volume is still like at the maximum, which is why I understand the maximalism being part of there. But yeah, like it's because it's unlike Louis Vuitton, which is not sensationalism, because Louis Vuitton genuinely doesn't have house codes. They genuinely don't. Like, it's just Louis Vuitton, and then people try.
Yeah, because of the history of the brand. Once again, it's kind of similar to what we've been saying the whole time with Gucci.
Yeah.
Whereas if you design at Dior, there are loads of house codes.
Yeah. And I do want to say that people were saying that Demna were like, they really rejected Demna just based on the fact that he used the memes in these designs a lot, and he was desecrating Cristobal's name. I was not one of those people.
There's Cristobal is rolling in his grave if he was, just looking at these clothes and all that. I've always said that
this couture.
I don't think there's anything wrong with him using memes or doing all that meme stuff. It's the communication that rubs me the wrong way. It's because early on, when Balenciaga were doing all that gimmicky crap, like, a shirt on a shirt, a 7-layer parka, an IKEA bag, like all this like gimmicky stuff, we used to call Demna a marketing genius. Like, oh, we know people are going to get talking. He knows this. It's going to cause a friendly. It keeps Balenciaga in people's mouths, and then when people see something that they like, that's Balenciaga, because it's something that's in their mind, they'll go and buy it. It's just a buzzy brand that's always buzzy. So we used to be like, he's a marketing whiz. But then as time progressed, he then started to behave or act or pretend like those things aren't gimmicks. And there's actually like more weight to these things when there just really isn't. And that's where he started to lose me.
Yeah, the post, we went into a post irony phase, and it didn't work. And he was, he was doing the reference a bit too much. He was beating it like a dead horse, like, oh my god, waste, oh my god, irony. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I've told you, I know what the next Balenciaga show. Well, obviously it's a couture, but if let's say he did another ready-to-wear show, I can literally break it down to you to a science. Like Demna's whole stick right now for the past, let's say, 8-9 seasons is, I'm going to rework clothing that's seen as mundane or everyday and change the elements slightly. So I'm gonna question kind of what is fashion, what is high fashion. That's his stick. He's been doing that with his couture shows and ready to wear. So he's gonna do like make a hoodie, but it's going to be a gown, or he's going to, make a t-shirt, but it's a t-shirt dress, not just a normal t-shirt, and then maybe it has frills at the bottom, or that's what he does. It's like he doesn't develop the ideas. It's not, because there's a difference between having a signature and then doing something with that, and then just not even developing. Like Rick Owens has a signature, but every season is not predictable in that way. Like every season, there are completely different ideas, even though the aesthetic and silhouette looks kind of similar. With Demna, genuinely, it's the same ideas.
No, it's correct. Like I'm into. It's interesting because it sounds like he was doing the Virgil will change it 3%, and then doing
The
the 3%
3%
rule.
rule. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, man. Shout out to V. Um, yeah, like I do believe we need to leave post irony in like post. Like we need to put it to rest and or at least like change it, have a different thing that you were being ironic about, because the the Gucci customer likes that they're rich, as far as I'm aware. They
Yeah.
don't need to hide, or they don't want to, and all of these other things. Gucci would, I don't know, like, would did you think that the stealth wealth incognito wealth worked at Gucci?
No.
Yeah.
Like the numbers show that it didn't work.
So
Bro,
it's
look at their revenue.
there's
Down
nothing.
23%.
Oh my gosh, down
So of
horrendous.
course it didn't work.
I do think that it will be a telltale sign at Gucci if they don't change the interior design of the stores, or should I say the
Yeah.
interior architecture of the stores, because changing the interior architecture shows that you're investing considerably into the brand direction, right? And if they don't and they just put the new stuff there, that means that they saw some numbers that weren't reflective of the brand direction or the interior design being paying off dividends. So they'd want to go a different direction. That's one of my telltale signs. That's why I like going out. I have to
Do you
go
know
outside.
something I also really question actually? Um, just Gucci's marketing strategy in general. Because when I remember when Sabato was hired as the creative director, do you remember they had that documentary about Sabato, right? And it was supposed to be like, who is Sabato
Oh
Desano type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
But no one watched it. Like, no, obviously I saw it, I reacted to it, but like it was you couldn't really find it anywhere. It was only on like Mubi. And like so unless you had a Mubi subscription, you couldn't actually really watch it. So it's just like, why make that documentary if it's hard to access? Like the whole point of that rollout is so that people understand who Sabato is. So if you put it in a place that's hard to find, no one watches it, then people just don't even know who Sabato is and people can't take to him as a
Mhm.
person. So I don't know who made that decision, but that to me was a really, really terrible
Yeah.
decision. How they
Why
rolled
didn't they
that
work
out.
with Vogue? Like,
Exactly.
anyone could have told them to just work with Vogue. I don't think you need to pay me £5,000 to a consultation for me to tell you that. But you should. You should pay me
And
five bucks.
these brands, every project they do, they always burn unnecessary money because when they shoot those kind of documentaries, everyone on set is staying in the Ritz or, it's always ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's
So
crazy.
just
Crazy
stupid
work.
overheads.
It's crazy work. Like, and they, whew, I want to know a lot of stuff about Gucci, but I do believe that. See, look, this stuff at Balenciaga was just so refreshing to me. I'll be real.
Yeah, that was
Um,
back then though.
back to wait, this is a long time ago. This is almost
Yeah.
10 years ago, which is wild. Um, yeah, no. Yeah, but on a serious note, like there's value in what Demna has done a long time ago, though.
Mm.
Um, and what he should do at Gucci is not try to revive it or revive his style or put his current style into Gucci. I don't really see that direction working at all. And mostly because, like, I don't know, on your end, do people blame Demna for the scandal that happened? Are people still blaming him for that?
Um, do you know what it is? I think it depends who you speak to. People that are kind of into fashion, some of them do blame Demna from what I've seen.
Hmm.
People who obviously aren't into fashion don't even know who Demna is. So they're just like, Balenciaga, wasn't that the brand that the
Yeah,
kids?
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I think it depends who you speak to. But I would say majority of people don't even know who Demna is, so they just blame the brand, to be honest.
Yeah. Because if it's like that, then
You
I'm
trying to
guessing.
gauge if it's going to follow him to Gucci.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
like what is the sentiment, the current sentiment socially on Demna. Because if it's negative, then whatever he does at Gucci isn't necessarily gonna change. It's
Mm,
not gonna change that. Like that's you're just putting like almost something that's nuclear active or radioactive at another brand. So is it him that the prices are going down, or is it the fact that the scandal happened? And we're gonna find out. Like there's a lot of things we're gonna find out when he's at Gucci, honestly. Like in
yeah.
thinking
Just give
about
it
it.
a year.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the answers. Someone said, "Yeah, I only watched the documentary because of you." Yeah, I think you're talking about the Sabato de Sano documentary, right? And that's my point. Like, it shouldn't have been so difficult to find. Like, if I was doing that roller, I would have done it with Vogue, where everyone has access to it, because the whole point is you want people to take to the creative director.
Mm,
Why would you put that behind like Mubi and stuff? It's just weird. Not only is it like a paywall, it's a paywall that's like not everyone can access, because Mubi, you can't access it from like every region, right? It's just so silly.
mm. And if you wanted to be like a little bit more niche with it, go to BOF. Like so many
Yeah.
people go to BOF as an alternative, and it's calm. Like all women's wears daily. Like you know what I mean. Like should be no reason why not going to Vogue. And then the way, because it's also in pairing with what LVMH did the last 4 years, which is a go absolutely like just ham on their marketing and their reach and everything like that. And they really capitalized on the influx of money that came from China. And we saw that considerably, especially with them doing the Olympics as well. So everything really came to a head. And obviously, we're having the luxury slowdown currently. But at the same time, there's a lot of value and understanding that we can take from LVMH to see what
Yeah.
Kering can do.
Yeah. And maybe subscribers probably don't care about fashion. You're probably right, to be honest.
That's not
It's
you're not
just the
wrong
rollout to me just didn't make any sense. Thank you for the super chat, Everett. Where's John Galliano going if not Balenciaga? I thought that John Galliano was gonna fight to open his brand back up and just design at his eponymous label. I thought that was always the plan, but I don't know. It's not like I'm part of his team. That's my assumption.
Yeah, no. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things that could possibly happen with Demna at Gucci. Like I said to when I first came on the live, like I'm letting the ideas ruminating, so I don't have like a massive reaction. So technically this is my live reaction happening.
Yeah,
That all of the interesting thoughts are unfolding as we have this conversation. So yeah.
yeah. That's why I wanted to give it some time. That's why I didn't make the stream like immediate. 'Cause I just wanted to take it in a bit, see what I think, gather my thoughts first.
Mm.
Someone in the chat was saying that people are still angry at Demna. That on the BOF post, there's a lot of like people. So let me open the BOF post and see what
Please
some of the
and thank
comments are.
you. He's doing the Drake duck
Um,
lips, which is hilarious.
let's see. There's so much talent out there which is untapped. Whilst these designers are all good, the new generation is even better. It would be really inspiring to see an unheard of talented design being given at least an opening. This seems like a merry-go-round of the same designer going round and round. To be honest, though, in
Mm.
Gucci's defense, in Kering's defense, their revenue is down 23%. um, they're desperate for, you know, something that's going to change the direction, because right now everything is going downwards. They need to reverse that. They're not going to do that with a no-name designer, to be very honest.
I'll be real. There's not a lot of unnamed inspiring talent. There's
Yeah.
maybe like four. Like, like I
Wait,
wanna
Eugene
be
Repkin
really
is
honest.
Eugene. Let me see what Eugene said. Francois Pinault is the Donald Trump of fashion. I've never seen someone so keen on burning down his own home. Damn.
Wow.
Damn. Someone said at least Balenciaga is saved.
Damn.
Um, did literally everyone else turn the job down? Oh my gosh, these are harsh. How to murder a dying brand.
Golly.
Golly. The guys are not really feeling dumb, are they?
Interesting.
I'm
He was
screaming because why did he even go with that picture? The whole vibe screams troll. But Demna always poses like that. I find it kind of strange. But if I was to like Google Demna Vasalia, he's always pouting. That's kind of what he does. Um, I would know this because every time I have to make a thumbnail and I have to look for Demna pictures to use as my thumbnail, I always see pictures like this where he's like pouting. So like
that's dope.
that's yeah, he's always look, he's literally always pouting. Like he's always posing like that. So yeah, there's
He just like
nothing new. Nothing new by Demna standards.
um Russian post-Soviet. Um, but yeah, as things go on. Oh, why we talk about Elon? He was great at Balenciaga. There was something that really aligned with the spirit of Cristobal, if not the clothes, but Gucci. Yeah, no, I think he can be good at Gucci. That is like my
Yeah.
overall sentiment, honestly. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, and if Demna's honest with himself, he can, you know, let bygones would be bygones with the current style and say, "Yo, I should do something different." But I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm nobody. I'm nobody.
When Alessandro did his first show, comments were even worse. So this is good. Oh yeah, I've made a video about that years ago when Alessandro when his first collection was at Gucci. Obviously, because it was so different to like Tom Ford and like Frida Giannini. Obviously, because she was working with Tom Ford before he left. There's remnants of like Tom Ford in her work. Um, Not just Frida Giannini, but all the other designers she was with. Because at first it was like 3 different designers, then it eventually just became Frida. Um, so people are just used to that aesthetic. So Alessandro Michele's aesthetic was like androgynous and like looked like vintage vibes and all this stuff. And they're like, it just looks like the kind of stuff that you can buy in the thrift store around the corner. That's what journalists was saying. um, so I guess in a way, maybe it is a good sign. I mean, a lot of designers have had really negative things said when they first show. I mean, think of McQueen. People used to say McQueen was all sorts of things when he first started designing. So I think, yeah, maybe it is a good sign. Maybe.
Yeah, pagan devil worshiper, amongst other things. You know what I'm saying? Misogynist. I remember when they used to call him a misogynist.
Yeah.
That's interesting. the way the way people are remembered after their tenure has to be studied, man. It really has to be studied.
But you know, most people forget like the nuance. So I feel like when we look back at Demna's tenure at Balenciaga, I think most of it will be positive. We'll think about the trends, we'll think about normcore, we'll think about the marketing genius, we'll think about how he was really using old Balenciaga codes, but modernizing them in a really cool way, especially when it came to, you know, the likes of cocoon shapes, but in a Parker jacket or all these kind of things.
Mm.
I also think his first couture show was really cool. I also like that he brought back couture for Balenciaga after so many years. So he's done so many like iconic things at Balenciaga for sure. If you think about from a branding perspective, a product perspective, how many things flew off the shelves. Like whether we're talking about do you remember when everyone was wearing the Balenciaga Crocs?
Yeah,
I feel like Balenciaga made Crocs a trend.
yeah. They definitely participated heavily in the popularization of Crocs, and they were epitomized what lifestyle branding could be, because so many people were not dressing in the way that Balenciaga aided in creating, right?
Yeah,
And along with so many other of his peers, he was able to redefine the way a generation of not just the youth but older people like to dress. And in part, even the way that we dress today is, thanks to Demna. And there's a lot of qualities that he added to the fashion like lexicon that, people aren't necessarily gonna say is him, but it was.
yeah,
And like your earlier point, which is like I feel like one of the more important points today, is that his footwear was astounding, right? And if he can continue that like, trend of having great footwear, he can participate in the long and rich history of what Gucci does.
100%. Someone said people are crashing out in the r/Balenciaga thread. So let me put that on the screen. Let me see what these guys are
I need to
talking
see
about.
this. I actually need to see this.
This might be hilarious. Okay, let's see. Let's see what guys are saying. I hate that he's leaving Balenciaga. His tenure is forever ingrained in their legacy now. This is incredibly upsetting. Who the fuck is going to take over Balenciaga? Oh, wow. These guys are really attached to the brand. Balenciaga's dead now. Only Demna era Balenci will be deemed as cool. Okay, bro. Did these people just learn about fashion last week? Only
Yes.
Demna era Balenciaga is cool.
Wait,
Does Nicolas
can we pause?
Gasquier not exist?
Can we pause? If you were 14 and Demna and it's 2015, Demna and the Triple S came out and everybody was wearing it, Demna is the coolest designer to you outside of
Bruh, this person literally said only Demna's era of Balenci will be deemed as cool. What? Bruh.
this is
That's crazy. That is a crazy. That's one of the wildest takes I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, read in this case. That's insane.
I understand it though. Let me put it that way.
I get it, but it's like, so for example, like maybe it's like a youth thing. Maybe it's just what younger people do now. If I don't know much about the history of something, I'm not going to say something with that much authority. Like if, like for example, let's say like I'm trying to think of something that I'm into, but like quite a beginner. Let's say like motorcycling. I'm into it, but I'm quite a beginner. I'm not going to speak on authority and say that this motorbike is the best era, not knowing any of the history of like motorcycles from like how long and like how the engineering has changed over the years. That's basically what they're doing. But that's that's the kind of takes you need for the hot takes live stream. That's true.
Someone said, "Imagine it's Gurum."
What, taking over? Oh my god!
Sense, to be honest.
Oh, what is this? Whoa! What have you guys got to be into? Someone really said, "What if it's Guram?" And then someone else said, "It makes sense to be honest." Guram taking over Balenciaga. Oh yeah, they're definitely in like
we'll leave Balenciaga.
they're in a phrase of Demna brain rot. That's what I'm gonna call it. Yeah, what did you guys get me into?
To revive it. Yep. I see this. I see this. These are invisible faces, but I understand the youth and millennials thinking this way. Definitely do.
Yeah, they said I knew Gucci wasn't performing, or they had to call in the goat to revive it. Hey, everyone's entitled to have their goats. I'm not mad at that.
Listen.
Let's see. Demna got me into Balenciaga. RIP. Let's hope Balenciaga gets someone as creative as him. Someone said Martine Rose. Interesting.
That's interesting.
Someone said everyone has been saying Martine Rose. I'd love to see her or Raf Simons take over. Prada's a bigger brand than Balenciaga. Is that designers don't take steps back. A lot of people don't understand that. Designers don't do that most times. They don't like taking steps back. So like going from Prada to Balenciaga is actually like a very monumental downgrade. Like your budgets are lower, your atelier is smaller. Like that's a big downgrade. Just saying. So Raf would never go from Prada to Balenciaga unless like he was fired or something. That's the only reason why. But he wouldn't like willingly be at Prada and then go to Balenciaga.
Look, someone had your take. Why do I hate this so much? Cute for Gucci, but aside Gasquier era Balenciaga, Demna was my favorite.
Yeah, at least these people, some of the kids know about Nicolas Gasquier. That's crazy though. Someone literally said that Demna's era of Balenciaga is the only.
It's the coolest. I think they said
it's the coolest.
Yeah.
Era of Balenciaga. That's insane.
He transformed Balenciaga in tons of ways. They're not half wrong. A lot of them are hyperbolic, but they're not half wrong.
Yeah.
Gucci will be another Balenciaga. I wonder why people think that. Why do you think people think that Gucci will become another Balenciaga?
I don't because I just don't think they're gonna allow him to just do the same meme stuff at Gucci. It's just gonna be. I feel like people are just gonna get so bored so fast. People are gonna be like, oh, here we go again. I feel like that will be the response if he does that.
Yeah, like I have this like suspecting feeling that he will leave that at Balenciaga.
Yeah.
That's like who's a good comparison? I really want to have a good comparison. Like Daniel Lee Bottega versus Daniel Lee Burberry. It's not really a one to one, but his Bottega wasn't the same as his Burberry. He used a lot of futurism in his Bottega, whereas in Burberry he does something totally different, which is
Hmm.
like massively traditional.
Yeah,
So
what
it's
he's
kind of
doing at Burberry is very much like taking the traditions of Burberry and then trying to
yeah,
modernize it. So he takes things like, and I'm sure he looks at like the archive where they store these kind of things. So he'll look at like an old hunting jacket and then try to modernize and do different details and stuff, or like hunting gear, hunting culture, stuff like that. Those are some of the inspirations I've seen across a lot of his like collections at Burberry. So it's cool, but it's completely different to what he was doing at Bottega. So that's what
yeah,
I'm saying. Like a lot of designers, even when we don't expect it, do have an ability to do a completely different aesthetic and it still works.
yeah. I think it would be silly to say that we're gonna see a Gucci IKEA bag. Like that would that would be wild. If we do, I don't know what I would actually take back my words. I will apologize on live. But
Right.
yeah, no, like I don't see that happening.
Someone is saying Balenci won't ever be the same. Someone's the chat, we're done. I'm very excited for Gucci and very nervous for Balenciaga. It will take a lot of work to get me to ever care about the Gucci brand, but they've certainly got my eye now. And I guess that's part of the reason why they're hiring him, because Demna has such a cult following.
Mm,
And just like this person said, it'll take a lot of work to get them to care about Gucci, but they're definitely keeping their eye on Gucci now, whereas they didn't before.
yeah, these are Balenciaga fans. I can see
No,
behind
oh,
it.
no. But we're in the r/Balenciaga Reddit page. Of course, the Balenciaga.
No, but
Like
like
someone
I
said,
would think,
this is like my father
bro,
leaving me.
they love Balenciaga like to the death.
They compared Demna leaving Balenciaga with their dad leaving them.
Someone said, hopefully they bring someone good to Balenciaga. John Galliano is perfect for their couture, in my opinion. Just a little bit down. Um,
Yeah. I mean, he's perfect for the couture, but John Galliano is a legend, but John Galliano, a lot of stuff that he makes does not sell. So, for as sensational of a designer that he is,
mm,
he's not going to do what Demna did. He's not going to make close to as much money as Demna made at Balenciaga because he's not going to make that many desirable products that people can wear. He'll just make like the most sensational couture collections you've ever seen in your life. And it will be a show of like how skilled he is and that he's just a way better designer than most designers designing right now. But in terms of like selling, no.
Kim Jones for Balenciaga is wild, Duke. That is wild.
I
How?
have heard on Twitter. I saw a lot of people saying that Kim Jones could be an option for Balenciaga. I'm like,
Wait,
nah,
you think LVMH is gonna let Kim Jones
nah.
leave?
First of all, he probably has a non-compete baked into his thing right now. Um, how long
Fam,
it's on for, who knows? No, he's just not going to Balenciaga.
that would be so interesting. The way that like that is what's it called? LVMH is like that's their child. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he really was that person for them.
Yeah. Will the Balenci footwear designer follow Demna Gucci is the real question. Yeah. Earlier on in the stream, I was like, if they know what's good for them, they just pay the footwear designer and bring them to the bigger team, bring them to the Gucci team. And whoever is working at Gucci, I'm sorry, but you might have to get displaced by the head of footwear at Balenciaga because they clearly know what they're doing more so than the people at Gucci for sure when it comes to the footwear.
What is Pharrell doing?
Like Cam says, I think it'll be a shock new designer that they'll put loads of money behind into doing the craziest shows, or just another career designer, previously head designer at a top brand. Yeah. It's kind of, doesn't it seem like there's a lack of like, because the Demna era was when people had their own brands and they were using their own brands as a stepping stone to be creative directors of brands. So they were so proven because they were proven that they could sell, they were proven that they could manage, run their own companies. In Demna's case, it was Vetements, then he went to Balenciaga. In Virgil Abloh's case, it was Off-White, then he went to Louis Vuitton. And nowadays, you just have like, you know, it's back to the era before where it was designers who had just been working at a brand like Alessandro Michele, who had been at the Gucci, been within the Gucci team for years before he became the creative director. So it's interesting. It's like how these eras are changing back.
And Blaze, yeah.
Yeah, Matteo Blasi, same thing. Matteo Blasi was grinding. Obviously, he was at Margiela and stuff, and then he worked at Ras Simmons loads of times. Like Ras Simmons' eponymous label, he worked with Ras Simmons at Calvin Klein. That man was grafting before he finally became CD at Bottega. Even at Bottega, he was working under Daniel Lee. He was like design director. And Daniel Lee was creative director until he was finally. So he, like Matteo Blasi, deserves everything he gets. That man was working hard. He was working so hard. Like, yeah, he deserves everything he's achieved, to be honest.
Yeah, no. I like some of these opinions, and I've been thinking generally about what does it mean to be a new designer today, especially considering what you were saying. I think that's an amazing conversation to have, which is like, do they have to do part selling, or can they come straight from, you know, school and all of these other things? Like, because with Maximilian at Ferragamo, he didn't have a track record of selling before they brought him on.
Not really. He barely even did anything. Not like he didn't do anything, like, but like he interned with Morolola. He had his own brand. He was part of Fashion East. He did Fashion East for a few seasons. Funny enough, when he was hired at Ferragamo, he was actually part of the LVMH prize. So I think at that point in time, he was a semi-finalist. Do you remember? And he had to pull out of the LVMH prize because he was appointed as the CD of Ferragamo. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, like, and I'm just looking at all of the classes of people that were part of the LVMH prizes in the past 3-4 years, and out of his class, he's the last one to really come straight out of school, go to a brand, and then that's it. Like, unless we can name another. Like, does that actually happen anymore?
It's rare. It's really rare. I don't know. It's amazing for him. I'm really curious to know what they saw in him because it's so rare. Like, it really doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's
at least not now. It used to happen back in the day. You know, like John Galliano was in school. His graduate collection was so big that everyone was whispering. Then all of a sudden, like Anna Wintour is whispering to Bernard Arnault. You know, then you have all these things, people investing in his eponymous label. He goes to Givenchy, eventually goes to Dior, all that sort of stuff. So realistically, it's very is this a different time? People just don't take risks in young designers like that. So it's really amazing, actually. It's quite beautiful that they took that much risk in Maximilian.
Exactly.
And they had faith in him like that. Also, super chat for Damio. Rent is due. That's what you always say, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the new video is dropping on Saturday, 8 p.m. GMT. So yeah, thanks for that. But yeah, no. That's love. That's actually love. No, bro, I'm humbled.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened in between, but it's like, so a lot of designers, when I think of like even way before John Galliano's time, right? a lot of designers were very much like a lot happened, but they didn't have to run their own brand. So if you think of like people like you can think of so many people, even people like Yves Saint Laurent or Christopher Balenciaga, even if you want to go back. Christopher Balenciaga didn't run his own brand, but Christopher Balenciaga worked in like tailoring establishments, multiple actually. He used to make his own clothes. He used to make clothes for one of his big patrons that he lived near actually. That his mother used to work for. He used to make clothes for her. I remember he famously copied a Paul Poiret dress for her, and that's when she like started supporting him. She was like, "There's no way you can copy this dress." So it was more just these designers had showed so much skill over the years that they didn't really need to have this like crazy resume that designers need now. Because it's just like we know you're skilled. Like everyone respects you at this point. Get an investor. That's kind of how it was back then.
Yeah, and he was grinding and sleeping on couches, doing a lot. But that's almost 40 years ago.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of graduations that have happened. Oh, hello,
yeah.
Pambo. There's a lot
Homo
of
said Demna is perfect for Gucci. The brand needs electroshock therapy. It just needs to switch it up to Lux Lux, not homeless chic. But that's the thing, though. So, Pierre, what we are debating is, does he have that in the locker when he's been doing this like post irony thing for so long that has really gotten stale? Does he have the Lux Lux in his locker anymore? Is that something that he possesses?
That's interesting to put it that way. I think he possesses it. It might be rusty. I don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like someone of his caliber. I wouldn't put it past him at all. Like there's just certain people that I don't bet against. Right. Um, Matthew Blaze, J.W. Anderson, Demna Vesalia, like who else? Did I say J.W. Anderson?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's
You
great.
did.
He's that great. Kim Jones.
It's not like I'm betting against him. Like I've said it like so many times. We know he's skilled. It's just, bro, I've seen like I review the Balenciaga collections. The man literally has no ideas when it comes to Balenciaga. Like literally, like he's just in cruise mode right now at Balenciaga. So it's just like, can he snap out of that at Gucci? Like, can he just completely snap out of that? That's what I'm questioning. Not that he doesn't possess the ability to do that. He definitely has the ability, but can he like philosophically snap out of that?
Do you know what's interesting for me? I was thinking about the last class of people, and that is Jacques Mus, Lemaire, Samuel Ross, and then there's the other tier of like Tebe Magugu and all of them other guys, and none of them went to another house.
Who did you mention?
Lemaire, Jacques
Samuel
Mus,
Ross.
Samuel
Okay,
Ross, Tebe
Lemire, Jacques
Magugu.
Mus, Magugu. Okay, true.
Yeah,
Although I don't think like that's a bit of a mix. I think
that's
Jacques Mus
it.
and Lemaire, yes, because
They're different.
the reason why it's more valid to use them is because their brands are like really huge, like extremely huge, especially Jacques Mus.
No, but Lemaire's been around for a long time, and that's why he works for Hermes.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
Lacoste.
and Lacoste, yeah. So yeah, I don't know why people. Someone put Samuel Ross and laughing
Yeah.
emojis.
So
I don't
as a
think. I don't.
category, I don't think they're the same because the Lemaire they
Yeah.
did. Who else did you mention?
Tebe Magugu. I mentioned Tebe.
Okay, yeah. Tebe hasn't necessarily worked at any house, but he's had collaborations with the likes of like
Yeah.
Dior and stuff. He even had a collaboration with Valentino too.
Yeah. My question is like some of the biggest heavy hitters, maybe not of our generation, but like of our recent memory, and yeah, they haven't participated. Of course, I understand why Jacques Mus wouldn't when he's almost touching a B, but yeah, because we were talking about just leaving university, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then even having a brand to like just leapfrog, yeah, like I understand that they've
Although,
made an educated and
caveat,
go.
the Jacquemus case study is not the easiest case study because there
What
are
do you mean?
multiple factors as to why like he's successful. One is like really good marketing. Two is just how he looks. Three,
Oh,
like there's so many factors into it. So it's like not everyone can tap into that per se, which is why
bro,
so many talented designers have all closed down.
bro, I found out he was 33. I felt my hairline recede. I was like, what? I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
what? This guy is no. I- like a B at 33 is wilding to me, bro. I think he's even 32 still. He might be.
Although the whole B thing is slowing down. So there was a time when they were saying he's on the trajectory to make like 400 mil and like he was gonna
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
eventually like his goal was a billion. But actually I think the growth really slowed down. But obviously with the investment,
It's
the
35,
recent
bro.
investment that he's gonna get there.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
is.
yeah. But like getting to a B is it's like more structural of your business than like the way it grows. Because like if you're
Which
not
is why
everyone,
with the investment now that is
exactly,
going to
yeah.
happen.
1990. Yeah, no, for sure. I understand every single thing of what you said about the way. Yeah, when you say there's particular reasons why, of course, I understand.
Yeah. People
Oh,
are saying
and
Kiko Kostanov. Is Kiko
no,
Kostanov like I'm a big fan of Kiko, but is he a big enough name to
love Kiko,
save? Well,
Balenciaga.
obviously he's not going to go to Gucci, but like even for Balenciaga, I don't really think so.
I think the era of people using their brands to leapfrog or even using the brand that they're working for to supercharge their own brand is over.
Really.
Yeah.
So how do you think moving forward people are going to hire? Are we just going to see the top designers only stay at the top brands and no one new coming in? Um,
Well, I think we've partially had this conversation and
yeah, we did.
slightly yes, but also I think it's a case of the major luxury houses buying brands.
Also,
And
luxury being its biggest enemy,
well,
right? Because when you think of the luxury system,
yeah.
because everything is about growth and growth and growth and growth. Earlier on, there was more scope to take a chance with a designer because you're not playing with like 7 billion, 9 billion
Mhm.
in revenue. You're maybe playing with 500 million, 700 million. So it was easier to take risk because you could take risk and still make more money. But now that they've marketed all over the world, marketed to all these consumers, it's so much harder to squeeze that extra revenue every quarter now because they've just maximized so many markets. And so now the stage that they're in, they're kind of forced into only working with the biggest names, only working with the biggest designers.
Yeah, no, that's real. And like biggest names doesn't even just necessarily mean designers, even though I know that's not what you meant. And
Yeah.
you're including that. But also people who have their own, like have their massive social media following and also design well and also
Mm,
sell a lot. It's like you have to be like amazing in these three categories to even be considered now. And like, if I'm gonna be totally honest, and I love Pharrell, but he didn't have any of those three categories.
yeah.
I'm gonna be so honest. And I love Pharrell, but he
Same.
didn't. He don't exist in those categories for all. But he has such a synonymous brand that he, got the keys to the biggest car in a luxury conglomerate.
And
So
it's
yeah,
working because people are buying his clothes.
tis,
Like
tis,
the millionaire bags actually sold.
bro. Let's be real. They were always gonna sell, weren't they? Though.
Like, but it's crazy because they literally cost 1 million and they still sold. Like
Yeah, millionaire bags were is wild. Those were
that's
wild.
the kind of pull he has. It's insane.
Was it 18 karat gold, 24 karat gold? What's it? Something crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's 24 karat
Yeah.
hardware and yeah.
Uh, do you think Donatella?
Do you think Donatella Versace is stepping now? Says anything about Prada's likelihood of... Oh, they've already
They
bought
bought it.
Versace.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've already purchased it. Yeah, that's already happened.
yeah. So you are right on your guess. It's just that it
Yeah.
happened already.
So yeah,
I
you
love
were...
the people that are in the chat today. Is everybody here in the Discord?
I feel like a lot of like maybe half of the people here in the
Yeah, maybe
Discord.
half.
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of names I recognize.
Yeah, I'm seeing some names I don't recognize. That's why I'm saying that. Unless they just have different names on Discord, but that's cool. Um, where were we? Yeah, so I do believe that there is like consolidation. That is the best way. Like mergers and acquisitions is going to be a heavy part, which is also a major reason for you
Yeah,
to have stable CEOs. Like, and for a lot of the people out here with £3 million businesses and £8 million businesses and £22 million businesses to actually um structure their businesses properly so they look primed to be bought. Because if you get a 4x multiplier and you get to retain some level of ownership and they have a track for your brand to become a heritage brand, like a lot of
yeah,
people will take that deal. Like imagine getting 40 M's, or not, let's not say 40 M's, but let's say your business is like worth 8 M's, and then they use a 4.5x multiplier on you, and then you get, let's say, 15, 20, and then you still retain, let's say, 40% ownership, and you've got a track to open more stores. You're gonna be, that news that LVMH bought you or Kering bought you is, you're on a different stratosphere.
yeah. It's insane. The kid said, "So is this what you want for Gucci? This nonsense? We're currently watching Jesus God Help." First of all, I do not want to see Demna's postmodern, like post irony.
Postmodern.
Yeah, this is post irony, definitely not
Irony
postmodern.
is hilarious to me. I
But
can't
you know,
lie.
I don't want to see any of that at Gucci. Like I've been saying that since. So yeah, I don't want to see that. I have like fatigue from all of that stuff.
Yeah, more people on the Discord. Um,
Yeah,
what's it? Am I happy Balenciaga can move on from streetwear? I don't know whether I hated in quotes the streetwear. I believe that streetwear was the state of fashion at a time, and we have moved on for it. So I am, I can't wait for some, some box toed loafers, but
yeah.
I've got those already. So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we're gonna see a lot different silhouettes, but I don't want Balenciaga to be any less toned down, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't want there to be less of a, for it to be muted and its voice to like fall to the wayside because Demna's not there anymore.
Which would be a shame, to be honest.
Yeah, because I
That would
think
be a
that
shame.
like Balenciaga is important, like to the sphere of fashion and what we talk about, like, or at least it has been for me. Like since I've been talking about fashion, like Balenciaga has been super super relevant. Like quite literally, I found a voice note of me 10 years ago talk about Balenciaga, a 20-minute voice note.
Balenciaga was always relevant, even before Demna.
Yeah, before
Oh,
Demna.
we've talked about this,
Right.
like Balenciaga arenas,
Mm.
Balenciaga runners. Like people have been wearing Balenciaga forever. Like I mean, if you think of Nicolas Gasquier's time, like the bags, people wearing the bags like crazy. So, bro, it's always been relevant.
I just want to say shout out to Show Studio for a time because they were really holding it down for me in fashion media pre 2015.
Yeah,
I don't know. I watched everything on Show Studio them times, but yeah, no, like Balenciaga has been mad relevant. So has Gucci, but Balenciaga has been very relevant, and the back office made some really good moves, and getting Demna was one of their best moves.
yeah. Where yeah, Show Studio was goated, but Lou Stoppard. Oof,
Ooh,
oof.
oof.
Those were. Do you know what it is? It's because like Lou Stoppard is the perfect host because obviously she's knowledgeable, but she allows guests to have a conversation. She doesn't like take over the conversation, and because she invited such good guests, like it would always make for a really, really good conversation. She's just like a very, very good host. I'm a big fan of hers. I've interviewed her for her book that she wrote because
Yeah.
I worked on the press run for the Chloe book that she wrote, which was interesting. I even interviewed her for Thames and Hudson, which was fun. But even then, you can see that like the way her brain works is amazing.
No, that's Lou Stopper was abused. Her sarcasm, she was super funny. She was super witty. Like she was just like going in, like being able to carry conversations, move conversations along, and also not talk and let the other people talk as well, which is an underrated skill in interviews today, because some people think like, you know, they can put a mic in front of themselves and just talk.
Yeah, I mean, even when people maybe didn't have that much to say, because she's such a good host, she'll still make it. Like I remember, what was it? Was it a Ras Simmons show that like Ian Connor was there and stuff?
Oh yeah, I
He,
remember.
he was waffling a bit, but like the way she hosted it so perfectly, you wouldn't realize he was waffling.
Yeah. Like, what does this black kid think he can say about fashion?
That's hilarious.
Yo, only the OGs are gonna remember that one, fam.
Yeah, Mima Viglitio also added like a good touch because Mima Viglitio is like more on like the business side behind the scenes. So she could always add that like, you know, that industry wide like facts and figures side to the conversation. That was always amazing. Because she's just like seasoned, like loads of experience working in the industry.
Yeah.
But I like Mima. Mima's cool.
Mima was my favorite. I can't lie. Like
Yeah.
Lou Stopper was the best, but Mima was my favorite, if that made sense. Like one, I loved her accent. Two, I just liked the
Her accent was
conversations.
cold, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just like the things that she spoke about outside of, you know, the panel conversations. Like, so whatever media that she put out there, I actually just listened to.
Yeah, facts.
These people really ushered me into coming into fashion media and having conversations, even though I don't have none of the degrees these guys have. Shout out to you guys.
Mima is just charming to me. Yeah, she is. She does have like a charming element to her. That is true.
Very
That's very true.
charismatic, for sure, Ski.
All these rappers wearing Gucci is gonna throw me off. Don't they already all wear Gucci though?
Bro, I can't wait for Demna to not use the monogram or use it in like interesting ways.
I feel like he's just gonna use it in interesting ways. Although he does like a logo. Like if you go back to the Vetements days, like he loves the logo. He loves it.
He
He
loves
loves a
inflation.
slogan. He loves a logo. He loves a lot of those things.
Yeah, he likes branding a lot. Like if he can like make it in big letters, he will do that. Like him and JW Anderson love inflating and shrinking things. Like that's like something that they both share as like designers. And yeah, like even what's it? Was it the Bernie Sanders Balenciaga scarf? Which show was that?
Yeah.
Was one of these
I
shows?
think that was like Fall Winter 17. I think. Wait,
Yeah,
let me cross check one second.
bro.
Yeah, it was Fall Winter
That was
17
2016.
menswear. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was when I was doing fashion illustrations as well. That was an interesting time.
Wait, this is hilarious. I thought Gucci Mane owned the brand when I was a kid. I was crushed when I learned.
That's funny.
If Gucci Mane owned Gucci, he would be a multi billionaire. Like,
Yeah, fam. Gucci putting Gucci Mane in a campaign was even like that should have.
yeah, that was a campaign that ASAP Rocky was in, and like all those guys. I remember that.
I'm gonna be real. The writing should have been
Yeah.
on the wall then.
That campaign was cool. Those were the Alessandro Michele like maximalist campaigns where they're like in a pool and they're all wearing like fur and like horsebit loafers and stuff. It was really cool.
Great Gatsby era type is
Facts. But
What
yeah,
about you?
guys, thank you for coming to our TED Talk. This was very enjoyable, kind of speculating where we think Demna's Gucci is going to go, kind of what we can expect. Obviously, it's going to be a long time because he's going to have his show, his couture show at Balenciaga, and then we're going to have to wait a while for him to have his first collection at Gucci. And in the meantime, the studio will continue to design collections. But yeah, leave your thoughts and concerns in the comment section. You can also comment when the stream is no longer live. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. See you guys in the next stream, probably tomorrow.
Much appreciated, guys. Thank you for listening to me.